Oh, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Cloud Talk Live. Everyone, my name is Jeff DeVerter, and I'm the Chief Technology Evangelist here at Rackspace Technology. And I'm so glad that you are here today. Welcome to Tuesday. We made it through Monday. That can be a hard day. Hey, folks, love for you to be a part of this conversation. And we start that by you telling me who you are and where you are. Guys, I have a great guest today, Michelle Peterson. You're going to love getting to know her. But if you want to get a hold of us, maybe you have some feedback for us. Maybe you want to, hey, Daniel, covered things up real quick. Some feedback. Maybe you have a show idea. Maybe you want to be a guest. I don't know. You can ask. Send us an email over at solve@rackspace.com and be happy to get back with you. So that is a way you can get a hold of not just me, but the whole production team. You could even talk to producer Daniel or Megan, who makes all the things happen. All right, everyone, this is episode 101. Can you believe it? Yesterday we had our 100th episode, which is so exciting. But you can get the audio from all of these from the Cloud Talk podcast feed. That can be found anywhere podcasts are found. So Cloud Talk, go subscribe, give us great reviews. Love for that. Hey, don't forget to introduce yourself, people. I don't see much going on over there. Also, everyone, reminder, Shields Up. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency has the alert for Shields Up. If you did not watch episode 101, I have some amazing security experts on. Somebody from IKEA, we have somebody on from Rackspace, we have somebody on from Bishop Fox, leaders in cybersecurity, and you can get all the information you need over there. Now, with that, I guess we move on to This Week in Cloud. I thought I had something else for you there, but it's gone and disappeared. All right, well, let's talk about how the cloud is making news today. The first, and these two articles are going to be very cyber related, I thought this was super interesting, is that there's an article from Wired Magazine. Hey, Sean, glad you're here. There's an article from Wired Magazine about the team that goes and tries to break into Intel's own chips. Hey, Paul, glad you're here. And so it's a really interesting article. They go in and talk about, they call it the naughty housemaker or house maid or whatever it is, where if you walk away from your computer and you leave that computer unlocked, that it makes an opportunity for somebody to break in and hard to really even monitor and manage. Hey, Luis, glad you were here. But Intel is spending a lot of time interrogating their chips, trying to break into their chips and ultimately be able to make them safer. So really great article from Intel. Love for you to go check that out. Also, this is a cool article. I referred to it in yesterday's live event where we talked about all things cybersecurity as it relates to Shields Up. Hey, LinkedIn from Louisville. Glad you're here. Rodrigo, happy International Women's Day. That is exactly right. I'm about to cover that here shortly. But this is a super interesting article because it details the role that Microsoft is playing in the war. I mean, literally, as soon as tanks started rolling into Ukraine, Microsoft and their global security sensors around the world started to see new malware, had immediately almost deconstructed what it was, figured out what it was trying to do, figured out its signatures and its patterns, made that known to the U.S. government, who very quickly then handed them off to other European countries so that they could do the same thing and watch for that malware should it spread outside of Ukraine, which Russian cyber attacks have often done. Think NotPetya as one of those examples. And this article parallels the comparison between what Ford Motor Company did in World War II in converting their automobile lines from cars to tanks to now what the cyber and the tech companies today are doing to help keep the world safe. So that's really an interesting article. Hey, we got so many folks here talking about, Jackie's here. Welcome, Jackie. About National Women's Day. Now, folks, that is really impactful for us here. In fact, let me turn this off for just 1 second. If we think about it here for just a second, what that actually represents for us is why we're focusing on women in tech all month long. You see, we had this nifty idea on the production team to to talk about, yeah, thanks so much, Daniel, to talk about on the first Tuesday of every month, we turned it into Women in Tech Tuesday. Sounded clever. I love a little alliteration and some rhyming. And then Megan said, hey, Jeff, in March, there's National Women's Day. Maybe we could do something for that. So we decided as a team that we would turn every one of these episodes in March into focusing on the great contributions that women are making in technology, because we need more of them. And so that's really our focus. That's why you've seen so many brilliant ladies on this episode or on this program so far in March, and while you'll continue to see more. You can see down below, look at some of these great folks. Next, we got Michelle Peterson, who's up next here in just a few minutes, and then followed by Becky Trevino is going to be here on Thursday. She is a previous racker, now doing some great stuff over at Snow Software. Holly Wyndham will be here. Just some great people still coming up later this month. And of course, we will continue to talk about the contributions women are making every Tuesday, the first Tuesday of every month, going forward. So we have that to look forward to. All right, let's jump into now some of those updates from the cloud providers. That is the wrong button to push. That's the right button to push right there. All right. Hey, Surya, glad that you are here. JP, glad you are here. And somebody from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Got to pause for a second. I was born in York, Pennsylvania, not far from Lancaster, in Lancaster County. So that's cool. All right, here's what's going on from the cloud providers. AWS. Here's what's new from AWS. They are announcing what's called Amplify iOS Library Developer Preview. Just developers, check it out. Not ready for prime time. It has been rewritten entirely in Swift. Of course, the iOS programming platform. No longer do iOS developers doing stuff inside of AWS need to recompile, redo all the stuff. Nope, they can do it all directly inside of Swift, which is great for them. Takes a step out of the process. Now, over in Azure, we have, hey, Todd, glad you're here this morning. Over in Azure, Azure IoT Central is now generally available in South Central US as well as Canada Central. More and more. Guys, IoT, I am so excited about what's happening in IoT. It's one of those technologies that when we first started to hear about it, didn't make a lot of sense. Is it the thing on my wrist? Yes. Is it the sensor in my smart home? Yes. How do I tie that together into a business solution? Well, now we're really starting to see that come to fruition, where the cloud itself is spreading out. We no longer have to go to just an AWS, Azure, or Google data center. Those data centers are coming out into our own data centers, into your data centers in the form of Azure Stack, in the form of Anthos or AWS Outposts, and even farther out to the edge. And then the tippy edge, we see the IoT. So being able to manage all of that at Azure in new regions is fantastic. Now, over in Google Cloud, you can now enable and use the reCAPTCHA Enterprise on Google Cloud without enabling it. Billing for your Google Cloud projects. So this gives you greater flexibility and, of course, security, which we all love. All right, with that, it's, if you want to get to any of these articles or the updates, you can find them over at rackspace.com/solve/101. This is episode 101. And so I encourage you to go check those out. Nothing will be sold to you there. It's all thought leadership. Hey guys, it's in our thought leadership, we don't really pitch Rackspace here other than trying to get you to come work for us, because I need more friends here. I'd love for you to come be a part of it. And today it's about a senior product architect inside of our data solutions. And I am going to pull the words over that I want to read to you. So Rackspace Technology, of course, we are a leader in helping customers accelerate the benefits of the cloud. Now, for the cloud. Now, the data solutions team's mission is to provide end-to-end data solutions that help businesses increase speed to innovation, lower their total cost of ownership, and derive value from the cloud faster. So if you are interested in that job, if you are a data person, love for you to head over to, hey, look, there's all those words I just read. Head over to rackspace.com/solve/101. Not only all the articles, but also a link to learn more about that job, maybe even apply for it. I'd love for you to do that. Adrian, I'm glad you're here this morning. Hey guys, oh look, I forgot to update this episode. It's really 101. Yesterday was 100, but you can find the audio for all of these over in our Cloud Talk podcast stream, anywhere that podcasts are found. All right. With that, everyone, I am so excited to be able to bring up Michelle Peterson. Ooh, let me leave this on because oh, crud. I pushed too many buttons too quickly. Here we go. Come on. Come back to me, Michelle. Where did you go? I know your picture's here. Oh, never mind. I'll stop trying to push fancy buttons and just say, everyone, welcome Michelle to the program. Michelle, I'm so glad you're here.
Glad to be here.
Now, we were talking before we went live on the program, and I said, now, Michelle, you are your chief of staff and lead really the office of the CEO, and our CEO here at Rackspace is Kevin Jones. And I said, Michelle, I'm thankful that Kevin kind of let you out of all the meetings and all the things to come here. And your response was,
I kind of forgot to tell him. Hopefully he doesn't call.
Michelle, that's awesome. I love it. Well, you are given a lot of great freedom to do the things that you do and make an impact. So I'm glad that you chose us over Kevin for at least a half an hour this morning.
That's right.
And you have got a lot of great friends who are showing up here to see you. It looks like we might even be going out to live from the EMEA Rookie O Room, which is really exciting. We have Adrian Chenault, a great ex-racker and doing some great stuff in the startup world. Adrian, please put a link to that awesome product that you have in the chat so everyone can go check it out. We have a new racker, Ashley. She's been showing up a lot lately, which is great. Casey is here as well. You have brought your fan club to support you, Michelle.
I saw a legacy racker join, if anybody remembers Mary Stitch.
Oh, I missed Mary in there. That's all. And also Mary. My neighbor. She lives one street over.
Lucky you. Lucky you.
And Rodrigo is here. We've got everyone. So you didn't come out of school and head straight to running the office of the CEO, did you? First of all, what did you go to school for? What was did you wake up and, as going through high school thinking, tech, it's where I want to be, and making sure that everybody follows up on their commitments to Kevin Jones. That's what I want to do. What was your original thought when you went off into school?
I actually started at Southwest Texas State as a science major. I was going to be a pharmacist. So pre-med.
Okay. How long did that last?
I flunked out.
I love that honesty. Thank you.
Year one, I ended up on academic probation and in the counselor's office where they said, "You're really amazing at calculus." I'm like, yeah. And you'll love this correlation. They said, "You're amazing at calculus. You should be an accountant."
Oh, calculus and accountant. That's a stretch.
Okay. So accountant it was. And 4 years later, I came out with an accounting degree. I then sat for the CPA exam 3 times. And in my mind, 3 times you're out. So we went for a master's. Let's go get a master's in accounting. What an amazing idea.
That'll solve all the problems.
It took about 10 years for me to realize that accounting was probably the most boring profession on earth. Sorry, all my fellow accountants, but it is very repetitive.
Yep.
Right? Close the books, look at the exact same journal entries next month, close the books again. Just didn't drive me to work every day. So I did a complete career change and went into the other side of it, which is the finance side.
Okay.
So I spent the next 20 years in corporate FP&A,
right?
Sitting right next to the CEO and CFO, trying to solve world problems financially.
Yeah.
And then that company went from public to private. And we needed somebody to lead transformation. And we transformed that company for 4 years. And then a phone call came from Rackspace that said we were going through a transformation and we need somebody to come lead it. And hence I just jumped into tech.
And here you came.
And
so you were drawn into tech for the passion of the transformation, it sounds like.
Correct.
Right. So was there some concerns about making that move over to tech, or did you just see it as another industry with another problem that you got to go solve?
Yes, the latter. I never even thought twice. The phone call came in, and I September-ish was the phone call.
Yeah.
They asked me to join on Halloween Day, which sounded like a horrible idea.
Yeah, that sounds like a prank, actually.
Yes. So all I could think of was meeting all these great new rackers with all their costumes on, and the next day they're going to be offended that I don't know who they are. Yesterday you were a witch. Today I don't know who you are, right?
Yeah.
So we chose November 7th. So November 7th, 5 years ago, I joined Rackspace. Never
Very good.
thought
5 years ago. So you've got your flag now?
I do have a flag.
Or coming up on 5 years?
No, I got my flag last year. It's going on 6 this year.
Oh, wonderful.
hmm
Wonderful. So now let's weave the connect the dots from helping, in what you were doing there on our operations side and that transformation stuff to working with the CEO on a moment by moment basis, except for right now, of course.
If we've all been, Rackers understand what I'm going to say. We've all been through the Rackspace job hop, but I started in transformation. I've been here 5 years, a little bit more. I think I'm on my 8th boss. And there's 3 or 4 decent career changes in between there. So transformation for about a year and a half. And then as CEOs changed out, right, we switched players in the chairs. And I went to lead the supply chain organization.
Got it.
So
Got it.
Did that for about a year and a half. And then a couple new leaders changed out. And Sabrodo came and asked me if I would, COO at the time, asked me if I'd be interested in a role. And he couldn't really tell me what the title was. And I won't say his exact words. I'll say a paraphrase, but Michelle, you're really good at getting stuff done. And I'm really good at thinking about things.
Yeah.
So I need a doer. Okay. And I did that for about a year and a half. And then I think Kevin said, I want that doer to join.
Thanks for grooming him, Sabrodo, but I'm taking your A player.
Exactly right.
Nice. Now, one of the reasons I wanted to have you on is as I've talked to different individuals around Rackspace, especially when we had Jackie Campbell on earlier, she goes, one of the people who really has made an impact in my career is Michelle Peterson. And so I wanted to talk a little bit more about through your career, and it doesn't have to just be here at Rackspace, of course, but, how you have approached coaching, mentoring. We talked before how some of the relationships have really been that mentor-mentee designated, but sometimes as you look back, you see it, but really you're just kind of playing that coach, that advisor, that person who answers the email or takes a meeting just to help somebody along through a challenge. When did you first realize that, this is something that I enjoy doing and helping others advance in their career and just be successful?
I've always enjoyed helping others be successful. There's nothing more satisfactory than giving that leg up to the next person, whoever it is, and watching them grow and knowing that there was some little bit of connection to that person through your career and their career that helped them get where they are. That makes my day. I shared with you I'm a natural introvert. So like being a mentor is not something I raise my hand to do. But I've had some amazing people along the journey come and ask me, will you be my mentor? And what I've learned from those relationships is that I also learn in those conversations. It's not just Jackie, and she'll tell you this, it's not just Jackie asking questions. It's me having to think about, wow, how did I handle that in my stage of Jackie's career, right? And it brings back a lot of great memories, and it also just helps you weave the connectivity to who I am today, which sometimes we just don't even sit down and think about.
Yeah, we get so busy in the moment that we don't think about how did we get here and what are all those experiences, the good and the bad that help form, the person that we are and that our leaders see value in and, keep giving us a paycheck and inviting us in every day to be a part of the journey. So what was one of those, if you could think back to one of those conversations, be it Jackie or anyone else, that really caused you to go back and look at a moment in your career and go, if I could go back and redo that, maybe I'd do it differently, or what was some of those moments? Again, you don't have to air everything that didn't go well, but.
So we won't use names. The individual that I'm talking about, you'll know. But I had somebody ask, how do you handle having to be a firm leader, right? You kill them with kindness is a lot of leaders' approach. But then there's a couple of times where you might have to step outside that box. And as women, we get coined a lot of different names, right? But how do you make sure you don't become that person, but you still become a firm leader? And it's a fine balance. But it made me think, when I stretched that muscle, it was probably the wrong way, right? An over tilt. There was more probably potty mouth than needed to show up. And if I could go erase all of that, I would love to erase it. But it is there, and it helped me then talk to that individual about, right, there's, you balance it. You stretch slightly outside of that comfort zone versus going full force like I did. And then it will become natural over time, and it won't feel so uncomfortable, but you certainly don't want to over tilt and become coined, whatever.
Yeah, too far. And balance in all things. Now, one of the things that we were talking about earlier, as well as we look at International Women's Day, and folks, the hashtag for that is breaking the biases. And I've got a great example in Michelle here, because as we've talked about, names, we mentioned Jackie, there's some others, you are sought out as as somebody to get advice from, not just from women, but from men. And that I love, because of the fact that we're not looking at this through a lens of, we have to be strictly working with one gender or another, but going to the person who has the best advice, who's been there and sort of done that, done it well, done it not well, but has learned from it. And you're one of those people. And I love that about you. So I'm going to actually kind of put the audience on notice here. You have a question for Michelle in your career? Maybe put it out there. We'll see if we can get her to answer it. But you mentioned that one of the things you like about that mentor-mentee relationship is being able, just at its heart, to help and to see someone succeed. What's the scariest part of it?
A lot of people in rack space don't know that aggressive. There's a whole nother career there, right? If any of my former KCI colleagues are on, they will know a different Michelle Peterson. And having that ability to open up and say, look, X, I did far worse than you have ever done. And my career has still been successful, right? So having that ability to actually crack the shell and say, I am not the person you see today, 15 years ago. That is a very different person. Is humbling.
Yeah. So how do you teach? So with that, how do you teach? How do you obviously you can model it, but how do you teach these younger folks coming up humility and being humble and transparency? Because that, as I see leaders, is one of the things that is the most magnetic about them, is when they model that. But how, outside of modeling, how do you teach that?
I don't know how you teach it. That's a great question.
Yeah. Okay. If anybody know how to do it, you can comment below.
If we all knew how to do it, then there would be so many humble people, and we know that all people are not that way.
Yeah.
Everything is different, and that's the other thing, right? We're all so unique. It takes all of us to make the world go round. If we were all extremely humble, I don't know who would be the leader.
Not. Right. True. Right. So Stephen L. really has a question for us. He's put it in 3 times, unless we have an issue with the tech. He says, what's your advice for staying authentic in a senior leadership role?
He did put it in 3 times. Well, that is really
he wanted to stay at the top on that one. He wants an answer.
Oh goodness, Steve. You have to check yourself. I always find what I call a whoopee. I have a couple of whoopies at rack space. Casey's on. She knows she's a whoopee. A couple male whoopies. I just like to go back to them occasionally and just check in. Like, I didn't over tilt. I didn't do anything right. What are you hearing? Like, what's the word? I try to make sure that what I believe I'm being is what other people are seeing I am. And just do a check-in occasionally with somebody that's really close to you, that doesn't have a career progression that they're trying to solve, right? There's no reason for them to tell you the sweet talk. There's nothing more than a relationship, a buddy friendship relationship there, and they will talk honestly to you.
That's great. Somebody who can speak some little
Mm-hmm.
honesty into your life, and you can
Mm-hmm.
receive it. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
Adrian
Because your
asked,
spouse is always going to be, absolutely, honey, right? They're always going to give you the, yeah,
yeah,
you're the rock star. And that's not what I
yeah.
want. I want
No,
that
no,
one that's going to
we
be
need a
frank.
little brutal honesty sometimes.
That's right. That's
Hey,
right.
Adrian asked the question, what was most helpful in transitioning from a finance role to an operator role?
That's a great question. And I thought about it a lot. So I spent most of my career rolling up, and if you're in finance in a corporate America, rolling up budgets and
Mhm.
forecasts. And while that sounds tedious, it's actually a process, right? X has to go
Mm,
in before Y can come out. And whatever those are, you have to know what merit increase is going to be assumed. You have to know what the tax rate is going to be assumed. You have to know how many head count we have in our base data, right? So you start this building process.
yeah.
And I've looked at every job since then, and it's all some element of a process.
Mm,
Supply chain, definitely a process, right? The request comes
certainly.
in, got to find the supplier, got to do these checks. And so as long as I thought about the ability to project manage a process, I could correlate almost every job I've had to a project management type role.
Got it. So it all comes back to that.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to call out Mary Stitch's comment. It's so nice. And Mary was such a great racker over the years. She says, love your candor, Michelle, and the use of the word firm. Good point. There's a lot of balance as a leader, a mentor, and a contributor. And we all really want to be effective and authentic. And so that's great advice, great comment
Mm-hmm.
from Mary. So, Mary, thanks so much for participating here this morning. Everyone, just like yesterday, I'm having internet problems today. So if I go away, Michelle, that's all your show.
It's all mine. All
Um,
right.
so, hey, Alicia Ford, who works inside of our government team here at
Mm-hmm.
Rackspace, asked the question:
Mm-hmm.
how do you find ways to add value to your organization in whatever role you're in?
I actually go to my customers. So the very first thing I do in every
Mm,
single role is what needs to be improved in this area. What would you do? What would you like to see change? What drives you nuts? I can remember Jim Hawkins was a big customer of supply chain, and I sat down and had coffee, and about 45 minutes later, I had a laundry list of everything that drove him nuts about supply chain. But that's exactly what I wanted, right? Because I knew that if I could start ticking those things off, not only would his experience be better, but everybody's experience would be better. So he was, right, a hardcore judge. So perfect. And that's what I try and do in every role is what could be different. And even in the chief of staff role, I've had many of my peers, right? If we could fix X, Y, and Z, it would be so much better. And I try and fix X, Y, and Z. It's not always possible, but I don't give up. So.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great answer. I love the fact thinking about what drives you nuts. Go to the customer, figure out what they
Mm-hmm.
need, and then
Mm-hmm.
make the changes from there. So I'll ask one
Mm-hmm.
last question. So when your customer became Kevin, our CEO, what were, you know where I'm going?
I don't know
What
where
did
you're
your
going.
customer say needed? What did your customer Kevin say drove him nuts, and how did you work to change that?
um, so Kevin really, really
Oh,
likes
come
to
on,
be
internet.
organized, and he was frustrated that everything seemed to be last minute. So he wanted some type of structure. Now I have to laugh because Kevin also likes to change his mind at the last minute. So there's a bit of a comedy in all of that, but that was his main frustration point was everything seems to be at the very last minute. And I actually in this role didn't see Kevin as my customer. In this role, I saw the ELT and the rackers as my customers. So when I think about what we would like to change, right, we would like to get right very efficient and effective meetings and more time back on our calendars to get strategic
Please.
thinking and work done. And I think about that every day. Not that I've necessarily made a ton of progress on that, but we've made a little bit of inroads, and we'll continue to develop that. Did I lose you, Jeff?
Well,
Okay, so I guess we've lost Jeff, and it is effectively my show. I can't thank any of y'all enough for coming. I enjoyed it. I hope Jeff invites me back sometime soon. Get to chat with everybody again.